We have so much to celebrate here at Doane, and one of the reasons for that is our new president, Roger Hughes. Roger, Ed, Phi, and I are all graduates of the class of 1982, which I'm not necessarily saying, but people are saying that this class is arguably the best class ever at Doane. I agree. I think it's true. It is a great class, and I'm humbled to be in that company with those individuals. And now, if I can do technology right, which sometimes I cannot, I would ask that you take a look at the screens.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Roger Hughes, 13th President of Doane University. One of the things that is used in the presidential search is what they call a presidential prospectus. And on this prospectus, what they do is they list all the skills that a president needs and what they're looking for. One of the skills they should have listed was the ability to be in two places at one time. I am so sorry I cannot be there to share in your celebration. Currently, I'm in Chicago right now trying to firm up our accreditation from HLC, which is obviously a very important part of what Doane University is. But I'm certainly with you in mind and spirit, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you, even though it is through a recorded video, about how proud we are of today and how proud we are of the recipients of the inductees for the Hall of Fame. We've been building leaders at Doane since 1872. And we are currently building the institution everyone wants to be like. We're here to honor our best and brightest, the ones that epitomize what our purpose is, which is we build leaders. Because we build leaders, we do it in a way that's maybe a little unconventional than other places. Our leadership skills occur in the classroom, but many of those are learned on our fields, tracks, courts, and courses. You've learned to work in teams, and that's a skill that's not always seen in today's world. It's a skill not always talked about. But we believe that if we make students leaders of their family, leaders of their community, and leaders of their profession, we will eventually make them leaders of the world. They'll become leaders of the world. Here at Doane, we're changing the world one leader at a time, with one graduate at a time. Congrats to this year's inductees in the Hall of Fame class. Bernard Brown, class of 73 for basketball. Jesse Gronemeyer, class of 02 for football. Nicole Stellick, class of 03 for track. And Steve Grosz, class of 84 for golf. Steve is a personal inductee for me because I was on the golf team with Steve. I knew what a class individual, what a competitor he was, and obviously how good he was at the game of golf. He went on to be a pro at Firethorn. This class includes All-Americans, all conference players, national champions, and statistical leaders. To paraphrase from Mr. Lombardi in his speech to what it takes to be number one, Nicole, for you, Mr. Lombardi only used men as reference, but I have made this an all-gender type speech in your honor. To quote Mr. Lombardi, "It's a reality of life that most people are competitive, and the most competitive games draw the most competitive people. That's why they're there, to compete. And the object is to win fairly, squarely, by the rules, but to win," unquote. When I was named president May 7th, interim AD Jeff Johnson called me about 2 weeks later and said, "Hey, Coach, we just finished fourth in the GPAC all points total. Would you be willing to write an email to the coaches and congratulate them?" And I said, "Absolutely, Jeff. Thanks for making me look good. I'd be happy to do that." So here's how the email went. "Congratulations, coaches, for finishing fourth in the all-point total in the GPAC conference. Congratulations to women's tennis for winning the conference title. Congratulations to the baseball team for going to the national tournament. And congratulations to the track team, both men's and women's, who are competing in the national meet down in Alabama." And I finished the email like this: "To the rest of you coaches, again, congratulations for finishing fourth in GPAC, and I look forward to working with you so we never finish that low again. I'm not interested in being number 3. I'm not interested in being number 2. I'm interested in being the best we can be. And we are building the institution that everyone else wants to be like." This class epitomizes exactly what we're talking about. Mr. Lombardi went on to say in this same speech, quote, "I believe in God. I believe in human decency. but I firmly believe that a person's finest hour, their greatest fulfillment in all they hold dear, is that moment when they have worked their hearts out in a good cause and they lie exhausted on the field of battle, victorious. Bernard, Jesse, Nicole, and Steve's family and friends, congratulations on your induction to the Doane Hall of Fame. Very deserving honor. We're so proud of you, and we're so proud of what you've accomplished in your life beyond Doane. To everyone else, thanks so much for coming. Again, my regrets for not being there in person, but we look forward to hopefully getting a chance to meet you later on down the road. Again, great night for Doane Athletics. Merrill will ring. Go Tigers. Thank you.
If you don't get the feeling already, folks, we are in great hands with our leadership. It's wonderful. It's Doane. And I'm really proud to be here. And I know that you are too. And Roger did regret that he couldn't be here, but he was gracious enough to put together this message, which was heartfelt, and you can tell that. So anyway, thank you to him. This now concludes the banquet portion of our special celebration. We will move ahead into our induction ceremony, and we're just a couple of moments away from that, and we so appreciate your being here. This is a great turnout tonight. Thank you for being here, supporting these inductees and their families, and for spending your evening on Nebraska's most beautiful university campus. No one has ever argued with me about that. I mention that at every home athletic event. Nobody from any school anywhere has ever come up and argued with me because they know that I am right. So anyway, I know that you agree with me. Welcome again to the 2022 Doane University Athletic Hall of Fame event. This is the induction ceremony where our inductees are officially inducted into our university's Athletic Hall of Fame. Others will share with you some thoughts about each inductee, things not necessarily listed in the program. Here are the ground rules for the induction ceremony. I will introduce each presenter, who will come forward and share his thoughts about each inductee. Then the presenter will speak, and then the inductee or family member will come forward to receive the plaque, and a quick picture will be taken of the presenter and the inductee or family member. Then the presenter will exit, and each inductee or family member will share his or her remarks. Inductees or family members, please recognize your family when you take the podium. We'd like to know who they are. And we'll follow the same format for each individual inductee. Before I forget, I know that we had Cheyenne in the back, but McKenna Bird is also doing some of the photography. So welcome, McKenna. And Shy, it's good to see you here. Thank you guys so very much. And again, these folks work for Rick, who is a fantastic sports information guy here at Doane. And knowing him, he's in his office working on what happened today. I do know that we have started off well today with our success. We hosted Dort in baseball. The first game was kind of close. It was a nail biter. The final score was Doane 16, Dort nothing. That was in baseball. So, and Sully was checking on the score in game 2. We were ahead 7-0 in the 4th. Okay, and we'll see if we can get a final score by the evening. They were wanting to get that done before the rain, so hopefully they're going to get that done. So we're off to a good start today with our athletics. It is my pleasure to introduce Cale Henderson, grandson of Bernard Brown. It is our pleasure to have Cale and other family members with us tonight, family of Bernard Brown. Cale, the microphone is yours. Welcome. And Coach Dixon, Cale, said he remembers you from Lincoln Northeast. So you talk about a small world, a lot of Doane connections. Cale, this is yours. Come on up and tell us a little bit about your grandpa.
Thank you. Coach Dixon, what's up, man? He was my DB's coach, Northeast High School. That was the coolest coach, man. When he left, man, I was kind of heartbroken. I ain't gonna lie. I'm still a little bitter now that I see you over there. I'm not gonna lie. So much potential, you know? For me, of course. My name's Cale Henderson. I am the grandson of Bernard Brown, and I know him as Grandpa Brown, or the Catfish Whisperer. If any of you folks truly know him, you know he loves the fish, and they just jump in the boat for him. It's honestly not fair. I'm over there at the end of the boat watching him nap, and he's just fishing away, and I'm over here trying to untangle my line and all that other jazz. Trust me, he's got it easy when we're out there. Grandpa. Okay, so you guys know him as an athlete. That's why we're here today. That's how we're honoring him. All I can really describe to you folks is what I know him as a man, because I was probably not even a tadpole when he was here playing basketball. I guess we'll start with this. Folks, when they saw me growing up and they'd see him at my athletic events or anything related to school or whatever I was doing, he was very involved. They'd say, "Who's that?" Because they'd watch me walk up and hug him. And I'd look at him and I'd say, "That's my grandpa." And it went one of two ways. They always asked in like an actual curious way, right? So I'd explain. He married my grandmother, my late grandmother, Sharon, who recently passed away. She's one of my favorite people in the world. But shortly after I was born, they got married. And all I've ever known is this tall, kind, patient man. That's all I've ever known. So I just refer to him as my grandpa. It's not step grandpa. It's just grandpa, period, right? I have great respect and love for this man. Or we go to the second, where it's a little condescending. It's like, well, how does that happen? I just tell him I'm albino. And the confusion on their face is rewarding enough for me. But honestly, you know, there's been a long time in my life, and especially sitting here tonight and, you know, getting to hear some of these stories. I want to take a second to thank Doane for throwing this. This is really cool. This is awesome. You guys are doing a great job. Secondly, I want to thank the people at this table here to support my grandpa. You know, my grandma can't be here and it sucks. But some of the stories I've heard from you guys have been really great, have been awesome. And I recognize some of you guys when I was in middle school running around you guys at the Calvert Rec Center playing basketball. It was awesome. You guys have always been very kind. My life has truly been enriched, and I say this because in a few ways. Growing up, I didn't really understand, and I say this, I feel like this is relevant now more than ever. I didn't realize what racism was until about middle school, when it was starting to be taught, right? School books. All I ever saw was a proud, tall, patient, kind, loving man. Who also brought two aunties in my life who were also African American, who were kind and loving, right? It was kind of a shock to me when I started reading those school books and learning the things that went on in our history. All I've ever really known is a good, healthy piece of culture in my life, patience, and love. That's it. So while I stand up here, and I'm very honored to stand up here, I'm very pleased that you picked me to do this. I can't speak to the athlete this man was, the one of 4 people to join the 1,000 club, 1,000 points, 1,000 rebounds. You were putting in that work, I see. I can't speak to that. All I can speak to that is the man he is, how kind and loving he's always been to me and my siblings and our family members. So while I'm here to present him as the 2022 Doane Athletic Hall of Fame member, if there was a Doane Hall of Fame human being, I would be presenting him as that today, honestly. So he's one of my favorite human beings in the world. My grandmother's one of my favorite human beings in the world, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm truly blessed to live the life I live with him in it. So thank you.
Thanks, Jim. There you go. I want to thank everybody for coming out this evening. It's been a long 2 years. It's been a long 50 years. But we finally made it. Yeah. Some didn't make it along with us, but some made it, and we're here. First of all, I want to thank the university. I want to thank the athletic department. And I want to thank the friends and former teammates and that have stuck by me and shared in my life, and I hopefully shared in theirs. We lost a lot of good people along the way, and I just want to mention a few names. One of them being Alan Gisler, Terry Eger, Rogelio Douglas, and first and foremost, Coach Bob Erickson and his family, his wife. I don't think I would be here today if it wasn't for the Erickson family. They took me in my darkest hour and really had no place to go. And they said, well, come to Crete. I didn't know where Crete was. Great duck and dumplings, yeah, but didn't know where it was. And I fell in love with the community. I must admit, this was probably the coldest place in the world. I do mean cold. Stayed across the hill at the dorm, and it was so cold some mornings, breakfast wasn't worth it. It just wasn't worth it. But we survived. A couple of roomies in the dorm also felt the same way. I just heard JB say something about getting off the bus from Chicago and probably wanted to get back on the bus. Now, when you're from Chicago and Crete is cold, it is really, really cold. Won't bore you with it anymore, but I did want to share one thing about Coach Erickson. Coach had a kind of a strange sense of humor. First story was the new Fuhrer Fieldhouse was built. We lost the first game in it, so we broke it in real good from West End. But secondly, one day during practice, I fell on the new tartan floor, and I hurt myself. Coach walked over to me, looked down. His response was, "You didn't hurt my floor, did you?" Well, if you didn't hurt my floor, get up. Second one was, everybody thinks Bobby Knight invented the chair throwing. See, you all remember. Also, berating the refs. Those guys didn't get paid enough money when they ref these games here. And actually, several years later, I ran a couple of them, and I don't know, they really enjoyed it. Kind of masochistic, but I don't know. Anyway, between the chair throwing and the antics, deep down, he was a great man. I've spoken to many people over the years that said he was one of the greatest baseball players that ever come out of the state of Nebraska, whether he got credit for it or not. So I just wanted to share that with you. Your dad was a good one. Your mom was a sweetheart. She fixed dinners for us when we really didn't have any place else to go. Your kids, these kids, you guys played with my daughters over on the floor before a game and after a game. Tired you out, so your mom and dad would take you home and put you to bed. So once again, I just want to say thank you. This has always been a town that's been deep in my heart. I will never forget it. Only I live 30 miles away, and I'm in town maybe once a month, once every 2 months, and I always enjoy coming back. It's changed immensely, but it's still home. So once again, thank you very much.
Tell you what, it was a real pleasure for me to stop by and visit Bernard and Sharon on several occasions, and then most recently stopping by, and I always appreciated those visits. And Bernard, if you don't mind, I'm going to stop by some more just to say hi. It's always great to visit with you, and we are so proud of you. And I just want to say a couple of other things that are appropriate to say tonight in recognition of Bernard Brown. Some of my friends were excited to hear about Bernard's inductions, so they shared two stories with me. One story was told by Jake and Marilyn Daring, who are here tonight. I'll try to describe the situation as told to me. When Bernard was looking at transferring to Doane, he was inspecting their basement apartment here in town. One problem: Bernard had to bend over because the ceiling was too low. Did I get that mostly right, Jake and Marilyn? I thought that was worth sharing. They shared that with me at coffee recently, and it's very special to them. The other story was told to me by Mike Sullivan, who is here tonight with his wife Susie. Sully described and I haven't told Bernard this, I told him about the apartment, but Sully described a memorable basket by Bernard. We were playing Kearney State. Was it in the field house, Sully?
It was in the new, one of the first years in the...
In Fear?
Yeah.
Yep, okay. We're playing Kearney State, and Bernard found himself open on the end of the court. No other players were on his half of the court. He looked back at the Loper players who were on the other half of the court, whereupon he threw the ball off the backboard and then followed up with a monstrous slam dunk. I love those stories. I wish I could have seen that, Bernard. That would have been awesome, especially when we're playing Kearney. We always wanted to beat them. So anyway, let's give a big round of applause to Bernard Brown. You mentioned Sarah's food. Sarah was an excellent cook, and was legendary yum-yums, I think, if I recall, that a lot of players had the opportunity to enjoy those sandwiches. So thanks to the Erickson family, and Bernard, congratulations. I'd like to share a quick word about Steve Grosz before I present the plaque to his brother Mike. Steve was an extremely gifted golfer, the best ever at Doane, and that is why we are honoring him tonight. But he also loved the game of basketball. Several Tau Sigma Zeta alumni are here tonight to honor Steve, and those guys, including Steve, love to play basketball in Butler Gym, which is now our wrestling facility. It'd be hard to shoot baskets in there now. They took them down. That's our wrestling facility. We have a wonderful wrestling program. It's absolutely wonderful. I cannot tell you how many times I was asked to play basketball with this group of friends. Even if I did not want to play, I was talked into it eventually, usually by Randy Nerud. Randy is here tonight. He had a way of, it's probably said one time, ice to people in northern Minnesota. So we played basketball a lot in Butler Gym. Steve was a part of that. Great times and great memories, and it's good to see so many of those people back here tonight. So at this time, I'm going to welcome Mike Grosz back to Doane and to the podium. So Mike, welcome back to Doane.
Thanks, Cody, and thanks everyone for showing up to honor Steve. I know all of you wish that he could have been here. I certainly wish he could have been here. I want to say thanks to Cody. You're doing a great job with the program. 2 years in the making. I know we wanted to do it 2 years ago, we wanted to do it last year, but this has been wonderful so far. I also want to thank Marty Fye back there for keeping the alumni in touch. Keep trying. I know it's hard. We're difficult to get a hold of sometimes. Leave a message, call back, come to St. Louis. All right, we'll have breakfast. I want to thank Doane for being the place it is. It's big enough to expose kids to just about every discipline, but it's small enough for kids to get chances to be a leader in whatever they choose to do, whether it's a sport or a student organization, whatever it is. I want to thank the friends from Tau Sigma Zeta for showing up to honor Steve. There's no way to overstate the impact that you all had on his life. I know that. I want you to know that too. I want to thank my wife Gina for attending, even though she didn't go to Doane. She went to the second best college in Nebraska. Hastings, yeah. This is a university, that's just a college. Yeah. And finally, I want to thank Steve for everything that he did, for me, for all of us. He reminds us constantly that excellence can be found at the corner of talent and passion. So thank you all for attending.
Got it? Thank you, Shai. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Again, I can't emphasize enough how much I appreciate these folks hanging with us for 2 years. It was so tough to postpone it, but I told these folks, I said, you know, in the age of Zoom and doing things virtually, we ain't doing that. We're going to do it in person when the time is right, and tonight is that time. So thank you for bearing with us as we made it through the pandemic. We wanted to do this in person and make it very, very special. So thank you very much. We'll move on. Jesse Gronemeyer was a tremendous football player at Doane, and his defensive coach is here to honor him. Not sure this is good for Jesse. It will be good, because the presenter is Tom Hood, who does not need an introduction, but I will introduce Hoodie, our former defensive coordinator and member of the Athletic Hall of Fame class of 2016. This will be good. Hoodie.
Shall I hang it in that thing? Just go on? Yep, all right. Oh yeah, make noise. Ooh, there we go. As Cody was telling you, I'm Tom Hood. I was fortunate enough to be on the coaching staff, is about the best I can say, when Jesse Gronemeyer came in to see us. But really, I'm here to tell you that Jesse Gronemeyer is a Hall of Famer. That's a big deal to me. By the way, I got this thing out, Kevin and Starkey got the game plan going here. But really, folks, we knew Jesse was an All-American and okay student. But a Hall of Famer at Doane. That's big. So to give you a little history on this thing, Fran stole one from the big boys on this one. I saw Jess in his high school days as an official at some of his events, and I never even mentioned it to Fran because I figured that all of the D1 guys would just snap him right up. But they missed on that one. I can recall that when Jess came in, he scored so incredibly high on all of these tests that they do. Speed, quickness, explosiveness. Those marks were equal to or exceeding every defensive back in the Big 12 in those days. That's quite a talent. But that's not why he's a Hall of Famer. I think it was Coach Biley that always told me that potential's a heavy burden to bear. And what Jesse did is that he became a leader for us. He had a lot of work to do there and on the job. But what Jesse did for us is that, well, first of all, he was my safety on the football team. He was my free safety. He was also our punter. He had to return punts a lot for me while we had the nation's leading punt returner at our side. Gosh, he was my safety on the kickoff team. He never got a break. And as you picture Hall of Famers, you think, oh gosh, this guy was good at one thing. He had to be gassed. He did everything for us. And there's some other things that went on along the way. He was a captain of the team, I believe, also. He had to help us manage that bunch that was running around there. A bunch of them are here tonight. Boy. But what I really locked into early on as I observed him was his aggressive style of play. And I can't overstate that. I was told that Paul and I encountered a guy named Al Zado. I can't believe that because I'm still alive. But yeah, I mean, that guy's mean, and he was nasty. But the ferocity with which Jesse played the game was unmatched by anyone else I've ever seen. He played the game as I thought it should be played, and I still think it should be that way. I don't think Jesse would finish a game to these days with these new rules. I really don't. He had dominion over the field from hash to hash. He feasted on the deep dig pattern we talked about. The skinny post was just a bad decision by an O coordinator. Just bad. But he did this with control. He was in the game, and he was doing it right. With all of this came a bunch of responsibility that allowed him to be a leader. But early on, Jess practiced the art of being a follower. Because one cannot be a true leader until one learns to be a successful follower. But he did that well. He took it over nicely. He had to lead that bunch of hooligans that we had on that squad. And I'm telling you now, they are nuts. He's one of them. Let me appropriate a line from the great Bobby Bowden. These guys didn't know the meaning of the word fear. But as I looked at their GPA, they don't know the meaning of a lot of words. Finally, it needs to be said that Jesse really helped us in our preparation as seasons began. We had gone away from this one particular thing as we watched Jesse move. His first step, literally, was with the proper foot. It was quick, it was aggressive, but every time. And we thought if we would reinstitute that in our drills, we could play that across the whole field of people out there so that they could get to the ball when they needed to do it all of the time. And it really worked well for us when we finally figured out that's what we needed to do. Because really, when you play defensive football, and probably in a lot of other sports, if you have a false step in there, a misstep, you're going to have to recover. But you're going to be recovering a lot, and that's not the way the game is played. So that was really, really advantageous for us. And if you get the opportunity to meet Jess, you will find that his first step, figuratively, is right on cue, because he is quick to connect and very sincere and genuine in what he does. Dr. Hughes addressed the student body in August of 2021, and he mentioned in this address that it is so very important when we meet a new acquaintance for that first few seconds. I think Rod said it was probably about 7 seconds to make a favorable impression so that we could have a lasting relationship. And this is what this guy will present to you. So Jess, I think you better get up here before Vance decides to change his mind. Where is he?
Take a picture of you. Just come on up, and they'll get a picture of you on the other side of the podium. We're good. We're good.
Keep that. All right, I keep it.
I didn't hear it too bad. My turn, Mike?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, there you go.
Wow, I have to be honest, I was not expecting a jab or two from Coach Hood, like, at all. Half of my things I typed up were to come back at him, so I guess it's going to be a lot shorter than I thought it was going to be. So, but no, I do want to thank Coach Hood for one thing that he probably has no clue about. I think that's way too loud, isn't it? Okay. One thing I didn't even realize that he did for me after I graduated. I don't know if he remembers this or would even know, but the first day of camp, I came in and I was recruited as a running back. And, you know, Coach Schwenk's talking to me and pumping me up all my senior year, going to play running back. And so I come into camp and I'm told I'm playing defensive back. I'm like, wow, that's great communication, coaches. So anyway, we go on, I graduate, and I look back and I'm like, yeah, he saved me a friend. And you're probably wondering, Jesse, what the heck's Jesse mean? Well, there was this guy named Ramon Adams that, well, I think he stood up today as a Hall of Famer, right? Claims he, I don't know, had a phone call from the Jets or something at one time. But anyway, I realized finally when I graduated, Coach Hood, that if I would have played offense, he wouldn't have had one record. He wouldn't have started a game. He wouldn't have been a Hall of Famer, because that weak ass wouldn't have started over me. Now, I know we got some defensive players back there, so if he comes up here and tries to slap me like the Oscars the other night, take him down. All right, I told you, Goldie, I had one for you. Watch him. I want to congratulate the other inductees, Nicole, Bernard, and Steve. What a great class to be with, and congratulations to you. I was reading through the bios. Bernard, 18 and a half rebounds. I really didn't even believe it until I stood next to you at the urinal before. It's like, whoa. I actually have, no, whoa, yeah. That's a good one. No, big guy. All right, let's get a little serious here. Height. I think there is one person that, you know, I've heard a lot of clapping tonight, thanks to certain people. But honestly, I think Cody Vance needs a round of applause. I think he does a ton for this university. He was here, you know, way back when I was here, traveling with the team, organizing, doing everything. So I don't know where you're at, Cody, but thank you. I don't know how the induction process works here, but I'm sure he had something to do with it. Coach Hood, Coach Phi, I don't know, but thank you, or however that works. Thanks to Doane University. I'd like to say that I'm completely honored being inducted in the Doane University Hall of Fame. It's one of the best and highest honors I've ever received. However, as I receive this award, I want to make one point evident tonight, and that is I did not earn this on my own. It's because of you people that are invited tonight. You all made a sacrifice for me. It could have been supporting me financially. It could have been helping me out with my grades. Right, Coach Hood? Or just someone to call, or simply come to my games and sit in the stands. Whatever it was, it didn't go unnoticed. And I thank you deeply from the bottom of my heart. Because again, and please, this is the point of my speech, if it weren't for you supporting me, I wouldn't be up here on this podium tonight. So with that being said, I'd like to go through and just thank some specific people and or groups of people. First to my coaches, Coach Hood, Coach Phi, Coach Schwenk, who is not here tonight. Talked to him actually the other day while I was on Harlan County Lake fishing. Had a great talk with him. My junior high coach, Galen Kahn, who was unable to make it tonight. Coach Dan Tessers, my high school coach, he is here tonight. Coach Dave Rosenbaum, assistant high school football coach. And John McGarry, my assistant high school football coach. I can honestly say I had the best coaches ever. Not once can I remember any of these coaches downgrading me or putting me down. On the flip side, they were always supportive and encouraged me to do better. They believed in me. They were gentlemen that prided themselves on being respectful and trustworthy to their athletes. And because of those traits, to this day, I'd take the shirt off my back for any one of them. I also want to give my high school principals here as well. Dennis Shipp, he was a coach off the field, off the court, but more than anything, I think he coached me in the 400 race, and that is a little bit of a inside joke. That one table will laugh. So anyway, thank you to my coaches. To my teammates, I couldn't think of a better group of guys to go into battle with. We have been through a lot together. Some have been ups, some great times, and unfortunately, we've been through some downs, some bad times. But at the end of the day, when I think about my teammates, whether it was on the field or off the field, I always had friends that were there to support me. I can remember our few last years together here at Doane. We said this group of guys is special, and we're going to spend one day per year, every year, no matter what, together. And I'm proud to say that that has happened every year the last 21 years. And honestly, probably more than once a year. And so I guess my point to everyone here, it is a special, special group of men. I'm looking forward to expanding those memories here in a little bit as we head over to the reception hall in a little bit while. I do want to remember a teammate tonight, and some of you, obviously, the teammates will remember him and the coaches. But after my senior year, we lost a teammate, Jeff Phelan, to a bad accident after he went home on break. So again, I just want to make sure to remember Jeff. I know he would be here tonight as well. To my family, I have been blessed with one of the best families I could ask for. I think the amount of people and tables filled obviously speak volumes tonight. For that, I am very blessed. Mom and Dad, a special thanks to you for all the extra behind the scenes support that you gave me and that you continue to do so today. I couldn't ask for any better parents. When I'm talking about family, I do just want to remember my grandparents that are not here tonight, my grandpa Otto Wallenberg, my grandpa Orville Gronemeyer, and my grandmother Esther Gronemeyer. I know they'd be here tonight as well. My grandma Ann Wallenberg is here. Where's Grandma Annie? I do have a challenge tonight for all of you. Now, Grandma Annie is a Czech. Her mother was a mail-order bride from Czechoslovakia. I have a challenge that she can drink more Busch Lights, and I'm serious, than any of you at the reception later. And that's no joke. 92, 3, I can't remember, Grandma, I'm sorry. So anyway, come meet Grandma Ann a little bit later here. To my wife, Kim, you gave me the 3 best gifts of my life, our children. Yes. I can do it. Got it. You're the best mother anyone could ask for. You've been with me every step along the way, the last 26 years. We're going to be married 19. I think that's right. I hope that's right. This June. And because of that, I love you. And finally, I don't want to take up any more time. I know I'm getting long. But I wanted to say something to my kids in an environment like this, because typically we're at home in the living room, and if 3 of you have 3 teenage kids, there's always a phone involved, or they're willing to say, shut up or be quiet. You don't know what you're talking about. And I thought, they can't do that in here. I got the mic. They're going to sit and listen. Put your phone away. But I do want to make sure I say little to you. Tayden, Macy, and Brinley. You three have brought so much joy to your mom and my life. Each of you make us so proud. Now I challenge you in the future to give your best effort in everything that you do. Do your best and forget the rest. Always remember to fight for what you believe in and chase after your dreams. Do not let anyone or anything get in your way. Trust me, there will be obstacles, but the great persevere and move on. Please remember this quote. My Uncle Randy actually told me this way back when I coached, and I never forgot it. And Randy is here tonight. The harder you work, the luckier you get. Don't forget about, most importantly though, what I've talked about and what this speech is all about. Surround yourselves with great people. Love your family, love your friends, and never ever forget the power of the words, thank you. I thank all of you.
I was doing okay, Jesse, until you got me a little bit emotional there, but I'll try to do my best. Special, special person. I have many memories of Jesse, but two stand out for me. One of them, we had just finished playing a football game in Stockholm, Sweden in May of 2000. That was our Sweden-Norway trip. It was good except for Northwest Airlines going over and coming back. But after the game, it was dark, and we were headed for the bus after a hard-fought game. Yes, it was a close game. Maybe 14-zip, 14-7, something like that. It was not a blowout. It was a heartfelt talk that I will always cherish. The other memory was a game versus Hastings College at Simon Field, now Al Papick Field. Things weren't going great for us, and we needed a huge play to get back into the game. And Jesse provided that play as he ripped the ball away from a Bronco receiver and scored a touchdown. That really was a huge play in that game. So let's take a moment and give it up for Jesse Gronemeyer. This is a very special evening. Again, this is 2 years in the making, and we are not done yet. We have a lot of special things to share. And I really want to thank you for being here tonight, celebrating family and friends. I've always considered Nicole Stellick to be one of my kids because I was her admission counselor when I represented Doane at Crete High School. So I was and am proud of her for her success in track and field at Doane. Her coach, Ed Fye, an Athletic Hall of Fame inductee himself, is here to speak about and present the plaque to Nicole. Ed, you are an annual presenter up here, and I welcome you to the podium. Give it up for my good buddy, Ed Fye.
Thanks, Code. First, I want to thank Jesse for his loyalty and trust in me coaching him, because Coach Hood fired me every night after practice. So I appreciate you helping me with that, with Hoodie. So thanks. I'm Ed Fye. I'm the head track coach. I helped Hood coach for 18 years in football, and then Fred retired. And then I had the opportunity to take over for Fred. During that time, I was the assistant track as well in football, and that's where I met Nicole Stellick. And Fred left a list for Cody of people he thought deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. And I really never thought that anything like that ever existed, to have a positive list that Fred Biley ever left. So congratulations, Nicole, for being one of the few that had a positive with Fred Biley.
And Ed, you saw it still on my whiteboard, those names.
Those names are still on the whiteboard, so congratulations. But that says a lot about Nicole and her accomplishments for Fred and his standards of what it took to be successful. And the biggest thing that he ever taught anybody that ever been around him is that you compete. And Nicole was a great competitor, and the bigger the competition, the bigger the results. She won 2 national javelin championships. She finished runner-up, and she was 4th. She became part of the most successful teams in Doane's history by winning 2 national titles, and we went 3rd and 4th the other 2 years that she was here. So she had nothing to do indoors because she was a javelin thrower and a heptathlete, and she didn't come out till after basketball season. So we decided to put her on the 4x4, and she was an All-American in the 4x4 indoors because we were bored and had to put her somewhere. And she was on teams that finished national runner-up. We got 3rd and we were 4th on the women's side through that. And she never lost a conference championship while she was here. So how does a hometown girl from Crete, Nebraska, that had never went out for track her senior year, achieve so much in track and field at Doane? So let me tell you the story about Nicole Stellick. Here at Doane, we say relationships is what wins championships for Doane track and field. And that's a trait that we live by, people giving back and the relationships that we have. Nicole's senior year at Crete, she decided to come to Doane academically and athletically, but she decided to pursue basketball. And she decided her senior year that she wanted to concentrate on basketball so she could make an impact on the basketball team. So she didn't go out for track. Through her relationships with the track team and the group of people that she was hanging around, they convinced her after the basketball season that she needed to come out for track. And at this point, with what she accomplished, a lot of pieces had to come together for her to be even in that spot to be able to compete for a championship. Number one, she's not looked like a thrower normally, you know, but her friends were multi-eventers, so they're like, hey, Nicole, you're going to do the multi-events. So in the multi-events, you have to throw the spear. So she trained, and she actually did some really great things in all of her disciplines, and she ended up qualifying for nationals in the heptathlon. And she was throwing the javelin pretty well. She qualified, we have A standard, B standard. And I looked it up, and she threw like 128 to 130. I can't remember what it was. I go, you're already at nationals, Nicole, so we're going to throw you in the javelin. And she ended up being the very first thrower because the worst throwers throw first. So she was the worst thrower in the field. And I still remember setting up on the hill in Abbotsford, Canada, sitting there, and I'm a little superstitious, so I had my little rock, and I was rubbing my lucky rock. And she comes up and she throws, and the javelin goes, and it lands. And I'm like, 1, 2, 3, 4 marks? Almost 5 marks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 marks? I'm like, she just threw 150 feet. I go, there's no way. And the mark comes up, and she threw 148.8 and wins the national championship, and she had picked the javelin up about a month and a half ago. So, yes, I am a great coach, just so you know that. So, the bad thing was that she had to stay with me, so she ended up 4th at the end of the year. But anyway, she did amazing things, and she went on to win another championship, and her leadership and the things that she was able to do for Doane track and field was through her relationships, and even though she was a national champion and everything she's accomplished, her journey and her friendships are what got her to where she was and where she is today. Phenomenal athlete. I really enjoyed coaching her when she was there. We had a lot of great times. No matter where they moved the javelin, we kept going out and throwing. I think it was 3 different places we threw javelin. But she ended up being one of the best in the history and Doane track and field. And I'm honored to be able to give her to the Hall of Fame at Doane College. So congratulations, Nicole.
Ed, I'll have you present this to Nicole, and you can get a picture back there with Cheyenne.
I'll let you keep that.
These are some tough speeches to follow up with. No, but thank you everybody for coming out tonight. And to reiterate what was said before, Cody, thank you for everything that you do. It amazes me between all your history between Crete and Doane, what you absorb and pass along. Thank you for everything that you have done. Also, thank you to my family. You guys are the best. I can't ask for a better set of family. All my immediate families here, my wife Jordan, our 2 kids, Brantley and Carson. Thank you guys for following me around everywhere. Thank you to the university. I'm very humbled by this honor. Actually, when Cody told me about this introduction and completed the accomplishment portion of my bio, I was questioning whether or not he had the right person. I wasn't sure I completed all of those. As Phi mentioned, I wasn't supposed to be a track athlete when I came to Doane. I was supposed to play basketball. I was introduced to the team. Maybe we'll fill in some blanks here between Ed's recollection and my own, but I was introduced to the team by Wendy Brilliette. She was also a Hall of Famer previously that received the award. I was conversing with her on how I need to stay in shape for basketball, and she said that I should at least talk to Phi about what that might look like. I wasn't a runner. I didn't like running. So I don't recall the exact conversation that I had with Coach Phi when I went to ask about joining the team, but he told me about the heptathlon because you didn't have to run that much. Anybody that's a heptathlete knows it's much different than that. Anyway, I prefer chasing down a ball, a basketball, softball, volleyball, golf ball, you name it. I still chase a lot of golf balls in the trees. But running was a head game to me. And the majority of my time was spent wondering why I was running without chasing down a ball. So again, while there was plenty of running associated with the heptathlon, you were so focused on your technical field events, there wasn't much time to think about anything else. So it suited me very well. From there, I was drawn to this unique team, as Ed would call us, some farm kids with a few foreigners. And by foreigners, he meant there were some kids from the neighboring states. While I thrived on my own ambitions, equally I found having my team succeed brought a greater sense of achievement. During my 4 years at Doane and discussing our track team with many of the double athletes that we had, we truly felt we had a unique team that didn't fit the track mold. We were very dedicated to our track teammates, and this genuine sense of community, belonging, and dedicating myself to those individuals played an extremely important role why it was important for me to exceed in those events. Beyond the team atmosphere, individuals on the team, as well as the coaches, equally played an important role. I thrive on those smart asses that could also back up with what they were dishing out. Whether coaches or teammates, there was no shortage of this personality. I could name many teammates that played pivotal roles in my college career, but without a doubt, Wendy was a large portion of that. How we became such close friends is somewhat of a mystery. We made a competition out of everything we did. It could be about how much we could eat, how we could arrive at a destination faster, or who could pull the best prank. I think Dunnigan and Hood wished that expanded into my academics, but that's where our friendship stopped. This constant competition suited our track careers, and while we were each other's biggest fans, we pushed each other in an attempt to outperform the other. I can recall many practices where she was taunting me on the track, and then at that point I was adamant about chasing her down. I would like to think our genuine desire to exceed permeated through the team to perform at a higher level. Lastly but not least, the coaching staff was phenomenal. Ed is now questionable based on this last thing, but we'll see. But I spent many hours with Ed, and I appreciated his coaching style, his unique challenges that kept practices fun, and ultimately, he's matched my sense of determination. And there are no words, of course, to describe Biley. He is a legend. There are many stories, and I could share those stories, but they would be very similar to those that I've shared before me. However, my favorites revolved around how his Aunt Sadie would outperform me, and I better get it in gear. So while I am proud of my individual accomplishments and appreciate the university for acknowledging them, my favorite takeaways are the memories and friendships that shaped who I am today, and I am beyond grateful for that. Thank you.